Welcome into the EMA Online Video Fast Break. The Wildcats win 82-61 in Manhattan on Tuesday. A 21-point win. Those are great things to come across in the Big 12. Even when it really wasn't a 21-point win, the game was much closer than that. And at one point late, K-State made it a lot more interesting than what it needed to be with a couple of turnovers, but the Wildcats went on a pretty impressive run to finish things off. They played the last 4:23 of the game on a 17-2 run, and that's ultimately how they were able to beat the Horned Frogs on Tuesday night, get a much-needed win, and split the season series with TCU, because ultimately, if you get swept by any team in the Big 12 this year, you're likely taking yourself out of the conference title race.
Yeah, like you said there about this game being a lot the score, I guess, being not indicative of how close this game was at times. I never thought K-State was in serious danger. I know, obviously, TCU comes out in the second half, and it feels like it's got a similar script to the Texas game, but they were able to regroup. Jerome Tang talked, I think, a little bit about learning from that game and his timeout usage, and obviously that had a big impact on the game because late in it, when TCU gets it down to 6 points, K-State comes out of that, and they're continuing an 11-0 run, which includes a couple really big plays from Keontae Johnson, an assist, a three-pointer, as well as a layup, I believe. So big contributions from Keontae down the stretch to end up being K-State's leading scorer, but I thought the biggest impact of this game for K-State came on the bench, with guys like Tyke Green having his best game of the season. Desi Sills had a really good game for K-State as well, and Bebe Igiola only scores 2 points, both at the free throw line in the first half. But he does take 2 charges as well in the first half, and he gives them a good effort on the glass too, Mason.
Yeah, no, all the guys off the bench tonight for K-State really gave them something, and each of them had something different to add. For Tyke Green, he was initially in there just to be a guy that was going to be able to play defense a little bit better and be a little bit more physical and rebound the basketball. He did the rebounding for K-State. He ends up with 9 rebounds in the game. The added bonus is in the second half, he was efficient offensively and did a lot of good things for K-State. Finishes the game with 13 points. So he ends up a rebound away from a double-double. And then, as you mentioned, Desi Sills got in there, and Desi had another good scoring game for K-State and provided some good energy at times. And Jerome Tang talked about it afterwards with Bebe. It wasn't just the fact that he got in there and took some charges, but it was in the post. He was smartly aggressive and was denying guys down there. And Jerome Tang, I think, used the word aggressive for Bebe, which is typically not a word that we would associate with him. And so that just kind of helped K-State work through a night where Marquise Noel was better shooting the basketball. Keontae Johnson was better shooting the basketball, but they both turned the ball over a lot again. Both had at least 6 turnovers in the game, and K-State was able to weather that storm with good defense and some of the other guys stepping up and picking them up.
Yeah, your 2 best players on the game with 12 of your 15 turnovers. So that continues to be an issue for K-State. Marquise Noel does have 7 assists, I think, tonight, which is obviously good enough for him to break the single-season record in K-State history for that. So congratulations, Marquise, for breaking that record. But the turnover issue continues to play, Cam. I wrote about it this week, early in the week on Monday, about how that's continued to be an issue for him. And I know K-State gets the win tonight, and I know he plays a little bit better, but still 6 turnovers for Marquise Noel is not okay. And K-State's going to need to find a way to limit that because we're getting to the middle part here of February at this point, and before you know it, March is going to be here, the Big 12 tournament's going to be here, NCAA tournament's going to be here, and the last thing you can do in those situations where it's a single elimination type game is turn the ball over and give teams extra possessions, and that's something that K-State, and particularly their point guard, continue to do a lot of.
Yeah, and it's a good point because K-State, even though they've won now, and they may, even if they rip off 6 more wins in this streak here, it doesn't really matter because K-State, if they keep turning the ball over, specifically Noel and Johnson, that's going to be something that people focus on and should focus on until it gets corrected. So we'll see, but Marquise Noel has to be better about that. The one thing that helped K-State out tonight, though, was some of that defense they were better at, and they had other guys step up because TCU, the things that they dominated in the first game in Fort Worth were points in the paint. They crushed K-State there. 66% of their points in that first game against K-State came in the paint. The Wildcats struggled there. And points off turnovers. Tonight, TCU does a good job again in those situations where they get 38 points in the paint, but K-State was able to match it with 40 of their own, and that's the real difference. K-State was able to play a better game and I think just have better energy from the start against TCU, and it was an ugly game. K-State didn't shoot the ball well at times. TCU did, but they turned the ball over almost 20 times, so it wasn't pretty, but K-State found a way to win. That's all that matters. And anytime you can beat a team like TCU, that's impressive. Now they just got to go back it up against Texas Tech. It's a team that they should beat, a team that could be shorthanded. We'll see how it looks with them on the road in Lubbock this weekend. But K-State gets a win. They absolutely needed it. Now they're just a game out of first place in the Big 12 Conference, trailing Texas. It's them and a slew of other teams that are there and chasing the Longhorns. So we'll see what the Wildcats get tomorrow with some help. Iowa State will be in action. Obviously, KU has already won this week, and Texas has the loss. And then this weekend, it'll be another busy weekend in the Big 12. But the Wildcats win it 82-61 from Bramlage Coliseum. That'll do it for Alec and I. Follow along with us over at EMA Online, a part of Rivals, to get all the K-State information that you need and coverage from this basketball season as well as off-season football news.